Scott Hanselman, how's it going?
Very well. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful. We hit our goal.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
I am beyond thrilled. Your lights are a lot of fun. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm
this
looking
is.
for a Christmas theme and I'm failing. So
Do you have
give me a second here. I'm gonna paint it manually.
is
Maybe
it
you can.
is it the hue bulbs?
No, this is a light effects.
Okay, cool.
There we go. And we'll do a little green. So I'm painting
Oh,
directly
nice.
on the line. It's a you can't really
Nice.
see it, but there's a here you go.
Yeah, we're getting some of
Right
it.
there. That's actually a reflection.
That's perfect.
So we'll
I've
add
got something,
a
but
little
I
green
don't
there.
think we can see it in this current shot. But yeah,
That's cool.
so fun. Hey,
All right,
how's it
you're
going?
good.
Happy holidays, sir.
Yeah, I'm living the dream. I'm gonna go see Spider-Man tonight. So that's
Oh,
my
how,
I'm on
where,
vacation, man.
what state do you live in, and how far is it from me? Is really kind of my
I am in
question.
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, that's a flight. All right,
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Connecticut, so I have a feeling I can't.
Yeah,
Are
that's a
you
kind of
getting
so
a
far away
theater to
across the.
yourself?
No, I mean Portland's pretty chill right now. If you look at
Okay,
the New
cool.
York Times stuff, the numbers are quite low.
Got it.
We've got reserved seats, and there'll
Nice.
probably be 20 people there.
Cool.
So not full and packed. It's not bananas. We live in rural Oregon, but
Nice.
it'll be comfortable and
Awesome.
safe.
Well, enjoy it because I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But what do you want to chat about? I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm excited to dig into what you came to talk with us about.
Cool. So I run Windows, and I like Windows very much. And I've been working for a number of years with the WSL and the Windows Terminal team to make things better for developers on Windows. So I wanted to
Cool.
show you some of the cool stuff that's going on and maybe some tips and tricks that maybe you haven't done. I understand that you have done some work with WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux,
Yeah,
and the Windows Terminal. Maybe I could show you some tricks that maybe you haven't done. So I'll
I
just kind of go through
guarantee
a
it.
parade and you can just say, I knew that, I didn't know that, I knew that, I didn't know that.
It's not going to hop back and forth that much. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of I didn't.
Oh, and I do want to point out
Yeah.
also that in the chat here we've got Jan de Doublier from Belgium who said he was hanging out to see me pop up. He's actually the creator of Oh My Posh, which is the prompt that I use for Windows Terminal.
Very
And I'll
cool.
actually start with that since we have a special guest in the Twitch chat, if that's
Awesome.
okay with you. By the way, this is my website, and you can check me out. And then also my podcast
Had some minutes.
called Hansel Minutes, which has done over 819 episodes.
Amazing.
So scroll through, you'll find somebody interesting who's working on what you are working on too. And this is Windows 11 for our friends in the chat there.
Cool.
All right, cool. So this is the Windows terminal, and I'm just going to zoom in right here, and you'll see I've got in boldface PowerShell. That's PowerShell core. That's the shell that I'm using. And sometimes people conflate terminals and shells and consoles and prompts,
Yeah,
and
I
they just
do.
mix those words up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't do that. I mean, maybe you
No,
do. Let's talk about it,
I
actually.
don't. Yeah, I thought PowerShell. I thought PowerShell and WSL would be like
Ah,
interchangeable or different
okay.
or whatever.
So that's a great point. Let's talk about that. So let's go back over here and let's go for Hanselman prompt console terminal. I always Google myself for stuff. That way you can. I've been writing blog posts for years,
Yeah.
right? So I can Google myself later. Console prompt terminal shell prompt terminal. I don't actually know how to spell. I just let Google do it for me. Where is the word? That's weird. I'm trying to remember what. I know. There it is. I know the blog exists. I just need to call it out. Okay, so on
Okay.
Mac, you started out as Mac person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so on Mac, depending on the version of the Mac you have, it's pretty much terminal and ZSH, or it's terminal and bash, or if you're fancy, it's iterm2 and fish. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for the most part, it's some Linuxy shush type thing, and then it's a terminal, iterm, xterm, iterm2, blah 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 blah, hyper. Right, there are choices, and those are the two things. But philosophically, right, the terminal is the terminal end of something. It's the thing that listens on the end of the terminal. That's why it's called a terminal. It's the terminating end of the thing.
Didn't have that. Yeah.
Okay, so when you SSH, or as I like to say, because I'm trying to get it to catch on, when you shush into another machine, you shush into that machine, and on the other end, someone's listening to your SSH server socket, right? And on the client side, you have your terminating end. In the old days, it was a typewriter, and there was your input, and there's your output, right? Your
Got
socket
it.
in, your socket out. Okay. And then you put it in a box and you give it a screen. The only difference is it's not paper, it's just text, input and output. And we put it in a console. If you're old enough to remember when you would go and visit your grandma and they would have a giant record player that was like huge record player. It was a console. It had speakers. It had a TV,
Yeah.
right? It's inside of the
The
console.
console, yeah.
So this is the console, this square here, this box that holds the square is the console. And then the shell, there are choices, right? A shell is the thing that processes the commands, right? It's the thing you send your input to. It's the thing that knows whether you typed ls or the thing that knows whether you typed dir.
Got it. Okay, that's
So
helpful.
PowerShell knows a bunch of commands, and
Right.
people feel very strongly about it. There are people who love it, and there are people who are like, PowerShell sucks, I hate it, right?
Yeah.
But these are a family of shell, right? The shush family of shells, right?
Got it.
ZSH, bash, fish, you type ls to get a directory, okay? Then there's the command prompt family of shells, which is like DOS, but not DOS.
Okay.
dir, cd. In this world, you have a prompt that looks like C:\\, right?
Got it. Oh wow, yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Oh yeah. So then there's well, I mean, you're a fresh 29, I'm assuming. So how could you know?
I'm 76. I just moisturize.
Is that right?
Yep.
It's good. The butters, you gotta
Yeah,
moisturize.
it makes the whole difference.
So important. PowerShell, the PowerShell family of things, originally started on Windows. So if we go back to the terminal here and we pop this down, there's Windows PowerShell or PowerShell Classic. Let me zoom in and fix that. PowerShell the Senior. And then there's PowerShell, sometimes called POSH or PWSH, or PowerShell Core. Excuse me.
Got it.
That is a cross-platform PowerShell. It's written in .NET, it's cross-platform.
Okay.
That is my preferred shell, but again, it doesn't matter. You can use whatever makes you happy. So I can go here in the Windows terminal and I can open up the command prompt, right? Type dir, there's the command prompt. If people look at Windows and they go, I hate the prompt, I can't use Windows because their prompt sucks, right? That's not a good reason to not use Windows. That's not a good enough reason. If you prefer Git Bash, the one that comes with Git on Windows,
Okay.
now you're in a really interesting philosophical world. The other one you might be familiar with is called Cygwin, Cygwin.
Yes.
It looks like Bash.
Okay.
Okay. It's not Bash. It's Bash at user mode recompiled for Windows. So they took the GNU user mode utilities, not the Linux kernel, just the C code, and they recompiled it. So when you do an ls, it does a Windows call, not a Linux call. And this is where things get confusing because someone will say, I don't need WSL, I don't need Windows Subsystem for Linux. I've got Cygwin, I've got Git Bash. What you have is a Windows shell that's Linuxy, right? It's Linuxy enough, it's Unixy enough that I can go and run awk and sed and stuff like that. But things get really interesting when we go and dig into like, where is Git Bash coming from? So let's go down here and we'll say Git Bash. And then we're going to click Open File Location. Okay. And then we're going to right click on that. And we're going to hit Properties. We're going to pull that over and we're going to go and see, okay, it lives in C Program Files Git. Okay, let's go look and see Program Files Git. Looks like it's in that one. So I'm going to pull that over from another monitor. All right, we got a bunch of files here. All right, look at this. We have bash.exe, we have git.exe, and we have sh.exe. Like those are the utilities that we have available to us.
Right.
Can we type awk? Do we have awk and sed? Okay, so where is that coming from? Okay, so that's in this user bin awk folder, but it's actually an executable that's buried in here somewhere, and I just have to go looking for it. And here we go, min.gw, binary. Oh, look at all this. What's all this? Every time you type something like grep or whatever, you're actually calling a Windows executable.
Got it.
So this gives someone the illusion of a Linux-like environment, but it's not. And that's okay. But it was fine because people who were moving over to Windows would say, I just want something to feel like Linux. So they would get this. So it's really important to juxtapose the operating system, the shell, the prompt. And things like
that's helpful. So for this is just like I can use the terms that I'm used to in order to navigate and create things. Is that essentially?
Yes, sir. I love the way you phrase that. I can use the terms that I'm used to, but it's not real. It's an illusion, right? You're kind of in the matrix. And you're going to find that, oh, well, this is Linux, right? And one day you'll download a Linux executable, you'll try to run it, and it won't run because it's not Linux.
Got it.
It's just a translation layer. But you'll notice here that I'm in the Windows terminal, which is itself an interesting thing. That's the terminal end of stuff. I can go here to settings, and I can say, what's my default terminal? Is it the original Windows console host? Or is it the new, shiny, scrumptious Windows terminal? Let's pick the old Windows console host, and then I'm just going to go and run it, and you'll remember this.
Yeah.
This is what people think about when they think about developing on Windows. Let me close all this.
Yeah.
They go, ew.
Run the Oregon Trail, right? Right.
Or they run PowerShell and they go, look, it's blue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's everything that we love, but it's blue, right? And then they go here, and then they have like this wonderful dialogue, which doesn't really have anything interesting in it. Right? Okay, the Windows terminal is written in C++. It's open source. It's written like it's a game. So we're talking about hundreds of frames a second. So DirectX and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So look, I can actually make it transparent.
Nice. Yeah.
See? So we're talking about, acrylics and DirectX. I've got PowerShell in the corner here, right? My little logo. I can then hold down Ubuntu. I could hold down the DOS prompt. So now I've got, right, Ubuntu,
Whoa.
PowerShell, and DOS all at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll go HTOP, okay? And then I can hit Alt-Enter, and now I'm full screen.
Yeah.
And so now we're cooking with gas, right? All right, now close those. Now, the prompt, the thing that chooses to present itself as a prompt, that's just a choice, right? That has nothing to do with the shell. It is the thing that gets printed when I hit enter.
Right.
And on DOS, you could go like this.
Is Cassidy still here?
Yeah. Well, she and I always use poop for variables and stuff.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So here I can modify the prompt by setting this environment variable, and whatever I put in there gets put in there. So I've moved the greater than sign to the left, and then the path to the right. But that's kind of as far as you can go. I mean, there's some stuff that you can do, but that's basically it.
That's great.
Yeah. Kathy and I use this app called Poop Map on iOS that you can basically log your poos and share it socially with your family to make sure that they know that, like, this is a really great bathroom at this mall, or I had an epic poo here and I'm relaxed and comfortable.
Is this real?
Oh yeah. You know about Poop Map? Poop Map app.
Why did you lead with this, Scott? Why did you lead with PowerShell?
You don't know about Poop Map?
I've never heard of Poop Map.
Oh man, you track where you poop, where your friends have pooped, and where other people poop, and create statistics, and you basically you follow your latest drops.
Is this what they're talking about when they say there's a new mischief drop or something? Is that what this is?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I got a new drop. No, I don't actually use Poop Map, but I know Cassidy uses it a lot.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's the word on the street. Okay, so here, this is Oh My Posh, POSH, and you can see this at ohmyposh.dev.
Okay.
And here I have a custom prompt. So I've gone and blinged my prompt out, and Jan is the creator of that. And you can go to my YouTube, and you can watch Jan and I develop a new segment to our prompt. So here, I've moved to another folder, and you can see I have my path. I have the version of .NET that I'm currently using. I have a human heart, because reasons. I have a GitHub icon, as well as my GitHub branch, and my current real-time blood sugar level.
Whoa.
Because I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I have an implanted sensor. So you'll see that over the course of our conversation change. I see my trend line and my blood sugar, and the color reflects how I'm doing.
So cool. Does it, I'm just curious, if you don't type anything and your blood sugar level changes, will that update, or does it only update every time you hit enter or something?
So my system updates in the cloud. I have a REST API for my body, because don't we all?
Yeah.
That updates every 5 minutes. Okay. So this is updating. This is cached until it expires, and then every 5 minutes it'll send it out.
That's so cool.
But if I don't do anything, no, it won't update until my next command.
Okay, got it. insignificant question, but that's a really neat detail. I'm just curious.
No, it is a good yummy detail, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll actually show you what it looks like. Now we're
I
going
love
completely
that
off the
level
rails.
of
You had low
customization.
expectations for this show, though, right? I assume.
Oh yeah.
There you go. So here's my blood sugar for the last 4 hours. There you go.
Oh.
So nice and smooth. It's kind of like Tesla autopilot for your pancreas.
Do they sell it like that? Because honestly, like I don't know what Microsoft's paying you, but maybe this it's called Night Owl or what?
Night Scout.
Night
Right?
Scout.
Because it takes care of little kids that have diabetes at night.
That's
It allows
awesome.
remote viewing of blood sugar. It's an open source project that I support.
That's great. That's really
Written
cool.
in Node. All right. So focus, man. Focus. Okay. So here I use a thing. So this is a prompt. I'm using PowerShell, but the prompt is different. It doesn't have to look like this. So here, if I open up another PowerShell, right, it's just a look, it's different. It's just a different prompt. Now, when I type dir, I get a directory. When I type ls, I get a directory because I have aliases for all of those.
Got it.
So now we start blurring lines, right? With aliases and things, it's like, what is a prompt really? What is it? What is a shell even? Right? But I feel really strongly in nesting, in finding your space. If I were to say, hey kids, let's learn how to code. This is going to be great. Yay. And then I go like this. Okay, kids, here we go. We're going to learn how to code. Right? That's not inclusive, right?
That's
not
the intro to the Matrix, yeah.
Big, crazy colors and amazing stuff like this. So I've also gone and optimized it with some icons. So I've got Docker icons and colors and stuff like that. All the details on my blog. That's a great a third-party product. And then I use a thing called Z. So when I type Z, it pops down. I can actually go up and down and pick places that I've already been before or commands I've already been before. Yep, it's a history thing. Nice. And then, of course, I can do Control R, which you probably do on Mac World, or have you done before? Control R works just fine as well. I've even got like branch matching. And another thing that's funny, in Visual Studio, we hit Control Shift B to build. It's just one of those prompts that you get it into your muscles and you can't get it out. So I made it so Control Shift B types the command it needs to type to build the thing I want to build. So if I find myself accidentally pressing Control Shift B, which is a hotkey I would do in an app, it'll just do the right thing at the command prompt. So what I've done here is I've nested, I've made my personal space, the color I want, the feeling, the vibe, the backgrounds. And I've even gone so far to go and add reaction GIFs for builds. So if I am doing something like this, let's go ahead and go. Yeah, see, if it fails, then I get one reaction GIF. And then if I fix the test and I do it again, and then I redo the build, and then I'll get a better reaction GIF inside the terminal.
Awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yummy? So that just goes in the, oh, it's great.
Yeah. All right, cool. So this is PowerShell, but if I go over here, this is Ubuntu. Now, Oh My Posh works in multiple locations. So I'm using the same prompt system on a different shell. I think this is ZSH or Bash. So let's go home. So now I've gone from a mount point on the C drive. This is a Windows drive. That's my Windows home directory, and that's my Linux home directory. Okay. So they've mounted the Windows home directory in Linux under mount. So if I go ls mount, there's all my drives, my physical drive. But the Windows file system has its own thing. Oops, not SFDF.
So on like the D drive, it's a different system than your C drive?
Like, good point. So let's look at my PC. Okay, here's my actual computer. Okay. My C drive, my D drive. This is just real physical drives. You can touch them. And then I've got a couple of like RAID external crap. Don't worry about those. The fact that I have C and D is just because I like C and D. I've always been one of those D equals data kind of people for reasons. That has nothing to do with Windows. Just has to do with me being a problem. If I go and say ls/mount, those same drives appear. So any drive you plug in, any USB drive, any drive at all you plug in, Linux gets it available to itself, automatically mounted. Okay. So if I go C mount C GitHub, this is my GitHub stuff, my code on my Windows drive. That's not going to be super fast because it's going from Linux over a mount point through, a tunnel and under a mountain. So it's going to be faster if I do stuff on the Linux file system. And by faster, I mean 10x faster.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are complaining, by the way, about whether I use forward slashes or backslashes. I am a non-denominational, and I use whatever slash is nearer the finger that I'm using right now. So you can use whatever makes you happy, and I will support you. To our friends in the chat here. People are also complaining about my arrows. Are they too much? Is it too much? Is it too much?
I love the arrows.
You like the arrows?
I'm a big fan. I need to get those back in my life. I had them on Mac a while ago.
Yeah.
This is better though.
Like
more arrows. I agree with Ryan.
All right, more all the arrows. Okay, so let's go to there. Let's do this. Let's go to where am I?
Yeah. So they're just clarifying. They are not complaining. They are loving them.
No, I'm teasing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Nino. I apologize. I'm just being silly. Okay. All right. Here is on the Linux file system some .NET app. And again, I'm on Linux. I am using the same Oh My Posh prompt, so I get the same convenient stuff. Now this is showing .NET, but it could very easily show Node or Rust or whatever makes you happy. So the segments that are available to you in Oh My Posh are Legion. And if we go to docs and click on segments and go down to Node, you can go and add them and you'll get a lovely, the version that you want. You can get a yarn icon, an NPM icon. You go bananas. So don't let my penchant for .NET affect the Node friends. Okay?
That's happening. That's got to happen.
Yeah, it's not good. It's all good. Okay, so I could then go like Vim, God help me. And now I'm like, hey, we're coding in Vim, right? And then at this point, you're basically screwed. You just have to shut the whole computer down because there's no way. Everyone knows there's no way to get out of Vim.
It's impossible.
You just have to shut down the VM. If you want a nano, you can do that, right? Certainly, if it makes you happy, right? But what you really want to do is you want to run VS Code, right?
Yeah.
So you say code dot, and you hit enter, and then you wait. And then on another monitor, because it's over here somewhere, I don't know. I've got so many freaking monitors going right now. I have no idea what's happening. Or it's going to
actually on 3 different streams right now. It's impressive.
Am I on 3 different streams right now? Like I don't even know what's happening at this point. Right. So when you fire up Visual Studio, it can split in half basically. So there's a version of VS running in Ubuntu, VS Code server.
Okay.
And then there's the client running on Windows. So when you go into VS, if we go back over to Windows, let me go back to Windows. And let's open up something. And I'll just go to one of my Selenium tests. And I start typing. This is autocomplete, right? And then you hit dot. What do you expect? You expect some autocomplete of some kind, right? And that autocomplete has to be provided by a language service. Someone has to give that information. And when you do that, that autocomplete language service has to be running somewhere, see? And it pops up. Who provides that list of context? Well, it depends, like what compiler are you using? Are you using Go? Are you using Node? Are you using TypeScript? Are you using .NET? So there's a language service that does that work.
Okay.
And if you're running in the context of Ubuntu, you're going to want the language service to run over in Ubuntu. Right? So you're going to have the VS Code server running in the background on Ubuntu, providing as a client server application context remotely to that Visual Studio, right? So that's why things are so scrumptious on WSL, because you're on Linux, you're coding on Linux, you're running your stuff on Linux, you can sudo apt whatever makes you happy on Linux, but you're running your Windows app, and then the language service gets remoted. So then when you go into Visual Studio and look at extensions, you can see that one of them is a remote extension. And this is really cool. If you look at our YouTube I did with Jan, I did a bunch of development. The entire hour we developed on Go.
Okay.
I never installed Go.
Huh.
Right? I kept it off of my Windows machine. We can even take it even farther, and we'll go over here. And this might not work, by the way. So I set this up about 10 minutes ago. So bear with me if it doesn't work. We'll debug it together. Here we go. So I don't have Node on this box, okay? But I do have a Node app Here, I got my yarn, I got my whatnot. Okay. Let's go and run code here. Run it up. Again, I have no idea if this will work or not. It's supposed to. Okay. This folder contains a development container. Would you like to develop in a container? Ooh, exciting.
Is that like
Let's
a
do that.
Docker thing? I don't know much about Docker, but is that what that is?
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
so Docker, you can look at Docker as a way of being like, it's a tiny virtual machine, right? It's a little private place. It's like one of those Japanese capsule hotels where you can sleep. It's just a little place for you to do your thing, and it resets itself every night.
That sounds
Okay?
lovely.
It is lovely. So look, what it's doing right now is it is building a node-specific container one time for me, locally using Docker. These things are done in layers. So it's like, I need an operating system. Okay, now I need Node. Now I need Yarn. Now I need NPM. Now I need whatever. And it builds those layers. It caches the layers. So this is a one-time thing. It'll be done in just a second. Now it's extracting it. Seems like a long time, but once it's been done, now it's cached and you won't have to worry about it again.
Got it.
And while that's happening, I can go over here and I can go Docker images and I can see it's loading up here. So it's called VS Code Remote Trinode. Here's my Oh My Posh one I did from before. Here's my podcast that I work on.
Cool.
Okay, now it's running it. Now look, installing Visual Studio Code Server. Nobody ever talks about that, right? It's the other side of Visual Studio Code. Now look, running Yarn. Now it's complaining that it like I need to get a newer version of Yarn or whatever, but you get the idea. Now look in the corner here.
Dev
running
container.
in a dev container. So Visual Studio Code knows the context in which it's running. So if I went and said open a terminal.
Oh, it's going to run these commands in that container.
In that container. But oops, I lost it. But it did what's called a volume mount. So it built the container, like it fired up a tiny computer and then mapped the source code back to my folder. So it's still my source code. It didn't copy the source code into the container.
Got it. So it's running the code that's outside of the container inside the container.
Yep, exactly.
Got
it mounted that stuff. So if you look right here, the file system inside the container mounted remotely that workspace.
Wow.
It all did it automatically. Here's the yummy part. This is all powered by this context of a dev container.json file. And this thing says, all right, I'm going to have a dev container. It's called Node. It uses this Docker file and this variant or whatever. I want you to make sure that you install the ESLint extension inside the container. It didn't impose the extension upon my computer. It imposed it upon the container. And then it also says, hey, if you see anything on port 3000, would you forward it outside, please? Because when you start up your Node app, you write, whatever. And then, hey, when you're done, would you please yarn install post create? Okay.
Yeah, I need to learn containers is what this is.
Oh,
honestly, like you're opening me up.
Dev containers.
Yeah.
You don't need to learn containers.
Okay.
Just learn dev containers. Okay. So install Docker for Windows. And let me bring it up from another monitor. Okay. I always do random sound effects. I don't know why I do that.
That wasn't Windows 11? I thought that was an 11 feature.
No, it's subtle. Yeah. It's actually, yeah. So here's my container right here. And I can go and see the volumes that have been mapped. Remember how I said that it got mapped right there?
Yeah.
And under the settings for this, you can go and say, use the WSL2 based engine. So it's using Linux to run Docker. This isn't bolted on, and people might say, just use Linux. Hey, if you want to use Linux, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But right, the year of the Linux desktop is upon us. It's just on the Windows desktop.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all of this is being hidden from me. That dev container.json goes and does stuff automatically for me. Now, if I go to my extensions, look, I've got local installed extensions like Jupyter and C++, but inside the container, there's location transparency. My extensions can be installed anywhere. So I've got one installed in the container. ESLint is not installed in Windows. I do not have Node on Windows. I have only, right? There is only Zool. I have only the remote stuff. So this terminal no longer is my terminal. This one here is.
Got it.
But then if we go back over to our code, beep, boop, bop, boo,
I have way too many extensions running for like the one
Oh yeah, you
V
don't see.
project that I've
So this
done.
is what's great, and this is why what Jan did. And again, I point folks to my YouTube to check this out. What Jan showed me how to do was, and one of his, I forgot the name of the gentleman who did it, but one of Jan's contributors set this up, was testing 7 different shells with Oh My Posh is really challenging. So they went and they set it up in a terminal, and you can go on and clone Oh My Posh, open it in VS Code, and as long as you have containers, it will get Go, it'll get Rust, it'll get C++, it'll get everything, it'll get all the different terminals, it'll load them all, bootstrap them, and it will set up a perfect little environment for us to do this.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, it's lovely, and I never installed any of that stuff. Okay. So then the question is, have you ever done Visual Studio Live Share?
Yes. Yeah, a few times.
Yeah. So then, we could go and then share this thing where you and I are in here together.
Yeah.
And so Jan is in Belgium, and I'm in Portland. He and I were moving mice around and typing at the same time, like literally typing in the same file, coding at the same exact time.
Yeah, it's
So
fantastic.
inside a container.
And
so
then you can share your server with him. Right?
Like exactly.
It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So it's a pretty awesome time right now. Let me go back over here and just show you a couple other things because I know I'm out of time.
Yeah.
You can see that I'm running Ubuntu. I also have Debian, which is another Linux.
That's
and
how
if
you
I
say
want
that.
to,
Okay.
I could go and say WSL, I think it's -- install.
Cool.
And it'll actually give me a list of Linuxes I could potentially install. This is how easy it is. So let's go and install Kali Linux.
Wow.
So yeah, it's literally that easy. So now we're going to go and get another Linux, right? And bring that down. And then that's going to show up in this list right here when it shows up, because right now it's downloading.
Yeah.
And then I can also share my Linuxes with other people. Like I could tar up my perfect Linux distribution and give it to you, and then you could install it. So at your company, you could have a standard Linux install.
Oh, that's great.
Right? And then, okay, let me just set this up real quick because I've never installed Kali before on this machine.
Chat's enjoying that.
Yeah, you enjoy that. Okay, let's go ahead and close that. I'm going to go on an open terminal again. Bring it over for another monitor. Pull this down. Whoop. Boop, doo, doo, boop, 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 boop. Okay, Kali Linux. So then, Ubuntu, Debian, Kali.
Are you middle mouse clicking to open the new
tab?
tab?
So what I'm doing is I'm clicking here and then I'm holding down Alt with my left thumb. So you hold down Alt.
It opens
so if you look right here.
Nice.
Alt click splits the current window. Shift click opens a new window.
Cool.
Then you click over here and you say Settings, and you say Open JSON file. And you can see that I've actually gone and I've made my commands like a browser. So Control T for new tab and Control W closes the tab.
Perfect. Yeah.
Because it's in my bones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I go back over to my terminal and I go Control W, Control W, Control W. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's great.
It's a lovely time right now. So like, I mean, it's co-opetition, right? I don't want to disrespect my friends that have Macs, but I do want people to understand that, Mac is closed hardware on a kind of closed operating system. It's not Linux, it's Darwin. Right. And they have one piece of hardware that runs on this thing. And what's kind of cool about Windows and why I like PCs is that you can build your own lightsaber, right? Your PC is any video card, any USB controller, any device driver. So Windows is challenging, and Windows sometimes crashes in the past because you've got to support all hardware, all comers. I don't think Microsoft really gets credit for that enough. So you could take a $399 laptop from Walmart and install WSL on it and VS Code and be coding very, very quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you can do that with a Linux too. You could boot off a Linux distro, right? So I think that it's nice for anyone, whether they be using Linux or whether they're using Windows, to be able to have access to these tools without cost being in front of them. What's nice about this is that if someone's watching and they have Windows Home, not Pro, we went out of our way to make sure that WSL runs on Home so that students can use that. So you can run whatever makes you happy. So if you have Windows 10 or 11 right now, just go WSL install, and it'll go and install WSL for you, set everything up. one last thing. This is the start menu here. I'm going to go and click on apps. I'm going to click on the letters, and I'll go down here to Ubuntu. These are Ubuntu GUI apps.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't we go and cause some trouble before we leave, and we'll run the GIMP, and we'll run Firefox.
But we're running the Ubuntu version.
Right. We're going to run the Ubuntu version of it. Now I got to figure out which of my monitors this thing is going to start up on.
Interesting.
Here's Firefox.
Huh.
Okay. So this is using a thing called Wayland, and this is hardware accelerated. So it's using my NVIDIA video card, and I can go and do machine learning. I can run Linux apps. So if I go File, Open, right, I'm opening up a local file on the local file system inside the GIMP right here.
Right.
And here's Firefox. So what's nice about this is I've been using Playwright, which is kind of like the grandson or granddaughter of Selenium, which lets you do automated browser testing.
Got it.
When you have a Windows machine and you have WSL installed, you can launch apps from your scripts. So I can use Playwright to automate and do browser testing. So on a Windows machine, I can run, Brave and Opera and Chrome and Edge and Firefox, and then run them again in Linux and test them all in automated user tests entirely from one machine.
That's really handy.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can run any Linux app that makes you happy. And of course, when I go File, Open, it's the Linux dialog box.
That's funny. Yeah, I never knew you could do that.
Oh yeah, let me show you one last thing. I know I'm talking too much. Okay,
good.
Check this out. I'm hitting Control Scroll.
Computer jazz is what we're calling this.
Yeah. Now I'm in Linux. Proof. Okay. Remember how I was running Nano and Pico and VI and stuff? What if I run Notepad? Well, I can't run Notepad because I don't have Notepad because I'm on freaking Linux. Right? That would be stupid. What if I said notepad.exe? Machine did it start up on? Oh my god, it's so annoying. It's popped up. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I can't find it. It's on.
I'm picturing that you have 12 monitors because of how much you're like.
There's too much happening.
You're just like the architect in the Matrix.
The point is, I can run Notepad, or I can run Explorer.exe. So here's Windows Explorer. Linux appears in Windows Explorer now.
Got it.
So I can go and open up like the Ubuntu file system, and suddenly I'm looking at my code on Linux. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Man, I haven't scratched the surface of any of this stuff. This is just wild.
No, because people just go I'm gonna run Bash.
That's me. That's me doing. Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Nest. You gotta build yourself a nest, man. Here's the thing. I talk about nesting. It's such an important concept, both in remote working, but in making a space. It's the intentionality of making a space for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Can you unshare my screen and make us like this for a second?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You mean this, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, because we're closing here.
Yeah.
So you need to just don't accept the defaults, right? The defaults are bash and a random prompt or whatever. Like, I'm not saying use my prompt. I'm saying explore your space, right? Some of us right now are blessed to have an office. This is my, a $50 LED light makes any spare bedroom look like $1 million, right? And people see this office and they're like, oh my God, you got this amazing space. Like, you must be like, super rich. And it's like, well, yeah, I am. But still, if I just go like that, like, it's just a spare bedroom with an LED. You see what I'm saying? You know, I open a window. It's all about lighting.
Right.
But then you go and you paint it and you nest and you make a space. So I've got things on my desk that make me happy.
Nice.
I've got like tchotchke, things that are like, I can, ADHD kind of random stuff. Yeah. And like random chips and random running applications on microprocessors. And
that's cool.
And the same thing applies to your prompt and your space. If you find yourself 3, 4, 5 times doing something repetitively, make a hotkey, get a Stream Deck, about this stuff.
Yep.
Automate that. I just think that we let the water get hot without thinking about it. And the next thing you know, you're sitting in a boiling pot.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I want to leave people with. And another last moment is when I talk about things on my desk that make me happy. I have Fabulous Batman on my desk here. Fabulous Batman is a reminder to me that I don't have to be a specialist. I can be a ballerina. I can be pink. I can be a ninja, be freaking Batman with fairy wings, right? So when you're thinking about what it means to be a full stack developer, I want you to think about Fabulous Batman. And if you're feeling sad that I don't know enough about Docker, you don't have to know that much,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to drive a stick shift every day, Alex. Just drive a stick shift once. And then you go, okay, I get it. I understand how to drive stick. And now I will drive automatic. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
So
I
cut
know
something
enough.
with a ninja sword one time, and then you can say, all right, I'm a ninja.
Love
Put it on
it.
your resume.
Love it.
Fabulous Batman.
Scott, this was a joy. I really can't thank you enough for coming on. That was just fantastic. This was, yeah.
Well, I'm glad. Hope you got your
Chad
money's
is
worth, right?
Chad is singing the same song as I am right now. This is a
that's
blast.
lovely.
And thank you for coming on. Thank you for contributing your time and energy and good spirit towards the cause. I can't thank you enough. Yeah, this is an absolute blast.
I hope that you meet your amount, right? You raised your
we
10
did.
grand.
We did.
All
We're
right.
$60 over.
Did we raise any now? Did we raise more than $60? Did anyone put in $3 during me? I want to know if I had a part in this.
Yes, somebody. I think we had 2 donations during you. So
there you go. Now I feel good.
It's tough to raise more than the goal. You know what I mean? It's tough to be like, yeah, we hit it, and then double that. It's tricky. But thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all the support and
lovely.
Yeah.
Fun to hang out. And I was kind of a little nervous because going after Cassidy, it kind of sets the tone.
Yeah.
And following some poop like that is really
challenging. But the segue helped because people are like, is this going to be a totally different kind of thing? And then you were like, poop, and they're like, oh, okay, that eased me in.
The tone is the same. Yeah, exactly.
That was a smart move because otherwise it would have been just like, you go from a
chaos.
hot bath to just a cold shower. It's too much.
Oh yeah, you don't want that. Cool. Well, small advertisement. Please follow my YouTube and my Twitters and my whatnot. If you want to know a lot of questions in the chat I haven't seen, what was I using for the arrows? Zoom it. I explain all that on my YouTube and my blog.
Awesome. Scott, thank you so much. Take care. Have a happy holiday.
All right, you too. I'll see you later.
Thank you.